Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Dude, you know what I was thinking about right before you came over here? Remember that time I tried to give you Santino in the gym?
Yeah.
That
Oh my God. Yes, I remember.
I was
Yes.
giving him to you, and you were like, "Dude, I don't hold babies. I don't hold
Yeah.
babies."
For context, also, it was like he was like new, bro.
Yeah, he
He
was
was
like
pretty
he
new.
was like 6 months. He was 6 months. He was 6 months old, and I like trying to hand him off to you, and you made me feel irresponsible. You're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't give me this baby."
Dude, because I don't want to be the one responsible for dropping the baby, and I haven't, bro. Like the only babies I've ever held is like my nephews when they were born forever
Right,
ago.
right,
So it's
right,
like I'm not gonna risk that with not my
It
not my
was
kid.
hilarious, dude. That was a very funny moment. You thought you were gonna drop the baby. Like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this.
Dude, because I know you're like not supposed to hold them certain ways. I'm like, yo, what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, that's funny. So I guess like we should start with how you got into jiu-jitsu. Like, what is it that you wanted to go to jiu-jitsu? I know it's the most
Yeah.
common question, but let's start off with that.
Well, I did a lot of sports. I did soccer growing up, basketball. I tried everything, and I was like really bad, dude. Like terrible, like terrible. Like I played basketball for a year. I made 1 point.
That's
I
not
scored
bad.
once.
That's not bad.
Yeah, think about it, you're playing for a year, dog. I scored once.
I mean, I guess.
And it doesn't help that I'm tall. I'm pretty
Yeah,
tall.
dude, I was about to
so
say.
you know, people ask the question where it's like, oh, you're good at basketball, right? Like you must like they expected me to be good.
Right.
Yeah, it sucked. So I was like, basketball's not for me. Soccer was a little better,
Yeah.
but I don't like all the flopping and stuff in soccer.
Oh yeah.
I like even like I'm a big fan of it, but I hate that, and especially when I'm watching games.
Right. Right.
It's like, bro, if you're gonna be like high level in soccer, that's just like part of it, and I hate that.
Right.
So I only play that for fun. And then there was a period where I stopped doing sports completely, and I was basically just playing games, like middle school. It's
Yeah.
like just playing games all day.
Video games.
Yeah, just video games all day, all day. I would just get home from school, right, and just get straight on my computer every single day.
Oh yeah. What'd
And
you
I
play?
would, I'd play like Counter Strike or like.
Oh,
League
those are
of
cool
Legends.
games. Those are
Well, yeah,
cool
of
games.
course. Well,
They're addictive.
Cool,
They're
cool.
addictive.
They're very addictive.
That's what I'm saying. They're addictive
Very
games.
addictive. That's the problem. I was like just playing games all the time, and I was like, but I like being active.
Right.
I was just terrible at sports, and I
Right.
was like, okay, well, I haven't played no sport now. And then I think my school at the time had a wrestling team. Later, we didn't. When I started actually training, there's no wrestling team anymore. But when I was
Yeah.
in middle school, like 6th, 7th grade, I remember seeing other kids wrestle, and it looked fun.
Yeah.
And also, it's pretty sick. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if you're able to like pick someone up and just slam them and hold them
Right.
down, like that's it. Like you won. Like you have
Yeah,
the control.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Dude, slamming people is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's great.
So I was like, damn, like I gotta try that. And by the time I wanted to start wrestling for my school, we had no team anymore because all
Right.
the older kids had kind of already graduated and stuff. So there's like not enough kids for a team.
But they still promote it. You know that, right?
Yeah, they still promote it, which is dumb. I don't
Dude,
know why.
one of the reasons that one day I wanted to go to that school was because of the wrestling.
Yeah, I mean we almost had another wrestling team like towards my senior year. Then something happened, but so I ended up like going down like the rabbit of like wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff, and like I think like most people like Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
like I would watch Joe Rogan clips and he talk about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, sounds pretty
Oh,
sick.
so you were listening to Joe Rogan before you even started jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, because I had known about him through the UFC,
Right.
and then I would just watch his stuff on YouTube, like just like the clips. I never watched full
Right.
podcasts. I would just watch like his clips, and obviously all his clips about him doing jiu-jitsu and
Right,
talking about
right,
jiu-jitsu
right.
all go viral. So I'm like, also his whole thing is about like, oh, it's like the smaller guy can beat up the bigger guy.
Yeah, but you're the bigger guy. It's not fair. You can't get the smaller guy talent and be the bigger guy.
Well, I'm not the bigger guy. I'm the taller guy now.
Yeah.
Now, before,
Oh, okay.
like I've always been skinny.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like at the end of the day, like if it's like football or something, like, bro, if the guy's bigger than me, like let's be real, I'm gonna get laid out. I'm gonna get laid out on the field.
Yeah.
So after like months and months and months of listening to him talk about it and like I would watch videos and stuff, eventually I tried it, and it was I tried it in March 2019. I remember.
Shit, you remember?
Yeah, I remember the day. It was March 14th, 2019.
Jesus, oh, you're coming up on the anniversary now.
Yeah, it'd be my 5th year in jiu-jitsu soon.
Jesus, dude.
So March 14th, it was no-gi class. It was on a Thursday, and I remember I was so dead from the warm-ups. I remember feeling I was gonna pass out after the warm-ups.
Really?
So I was really out of shape. I was playing a lot of video games. Not a
So
lot
from
of
wait,
exercise.
so from like the shrimping, like the running around.
Well, it wasn't just that. So
oh, but it was like the no-gi class with like the takedown.
Yeah,
and stuff
but
like that.
we also had. I remember that day we had one of my old coaches, Ceviche, was teaching and you know Ceviche.
Yeah, well, I don't know him, but I heard about.
You've
his
heard of him?
classes.
he's known for having a very intense training style,
Yeah,
which
that's
I
what I
love.
heard-
That's
that's what
what
I
I
heard.
think that's what really got me hooked. I'm gonna be honest. I think his like the intensity was what really got me hooked. Because
Yeah.
I'm super competitive, and I was really competitive in video games. Like super,
and that
super
transferred
competitive.
over.
Immediately transferred over. So I remember it, and I remember how difficult it was, and I was like, damn, like this is fun,
Yeah.
right? And I obviously got beat up like pretty bad my first
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't hit anything, and then
I mean, it'd be crazy. The first day, you're just throwing in omoplatas and trying to like people.
that would be
berimbolo.
pretty sick. I think I might be a prodigy if that happens. But I remember going for the first day, and it was like super intense training, like for the time,
right.
and I could tell like which kids were very clearly like the best kids in the class, and I would watch them roll, and they were doing like I had no idea what they were doing,
Right,
no clue at all what they were doing. So the fact that I could see like there's such a skill level between me and them,
Yeah.
and they know so much more than I know now, like that's what really got me. Like
That's crazy that
what
you
got
saw
me
it that
hooked.
way, like that you saw these people that were really good, and you were like, oh, I wanna be on that level. Because most people, first of all, the training's hard. The warm-ups were crazy, right?
Mhm.
So you did the warm-ups, and then I'm sure you got what you just said, you got beat up, right?
Yeah.
And then you decided to stay because you saw other people that were better, and that's why you decided to stay.
Well, yeah, because again, like I think it's like the competitiveness,
Oh,
like from the video games, like if I'm playing like Counter-Strike
right.
and the guy on the other team is just like destroying me, and, like all like the whole game, like yeah, I'm gonna be pissed off. Like obviously,
Right.
you're gonna be a little upset because
Yeah.
you're getting beat up.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's possible to be that good.
Right.
You know, like I thought, like maybe I think I'm this good, and then this guy comes in out of nowhere, humbles me, beats me up. It's kind of like that, except I went into jiu-jitsu having like no notion.
Right.
Like I didn't expect to be good or anything, but I saw the competitiveness.
Right.
So when those kids are beating me up, I was like, I gotta get them back.
Dude, that's a transfer of trait. Like that's a trait that's important. Like in order to stay in jiu-jitsu, is that you see these people at this level and you're like, damn, that's possible.
Yeah,
Because that's like the two roads that you take in jiu-jitsu. Either you think like that's possible to get that good. It's I can do. I just gotta train, and that's really what it is. It's like really just train, and dedicate more time to it, or you just like you quit because you feel like you can never get that good.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people who you think will stay on that first path the whole time,
Right.
and then they
fall away.
yeah,
Like,
they just fall out.
dude, it's a long road, man. And like I know like probably you're one of those people that don't really care about belts, but there's people that care about belts.
Oh, for sure.
They care about belts, and if you start thinking about the belt, as soon as you get to that blue belt, it's like, oh, dude, I'm not like it's so long or whatever. You just gotta forget about it and train.
Yeah,
So if you have those two traits that you don't care about the belts, you really just want to get better, you're gonna be fine. But you're gonna get your ass kicked on the way.
yeah, for sure.
And the thing is that you go finding more people that can kick your ass even worse, and then you're like, oh, I can get to that level. Like it becomes like you just want to find somebody that's better, so you can learn from them. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because like what blows my mind is like, okay, if I roll with someone, right,
Yeah.
and they just mop the floor with me,
Right.
like, dude, like I can tell they're not even trying, and they're able to do whatever they want.
That's-
And then I see them roll with someone else, and that other person mops the floor with them. I'm like, bro, what? Like, what do they know that I don't know or that he doesn't know?
Have you ever seen the triangle happen that you mop the floor out of one guy and this guy beats the other guy?
Yes, exactly.
That's when it's weird, dude.
Yeah, that is true because there are some people that like whether it be in like gym competition,
Yeah.
historically will always beat you up.
Yeah.
But you see them go against other people that you destroy,
Yeah,
and
what
it
the
makes
fuck is
no
going
sense. I don't know if that's a mental thing or a style thing.
I think it's a style thing.
I think it's more of a style.
because
thing.
once you've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while, it's like there's really no like you don't really have any emotion involved in the training. It's just like you're rolling or whatever, you're trying to figure things out. It has to be a style thing at a certain level. Maybe earlier on when you see training, like you have that because there's an emotion attachment when you start
for
training.
sure.
Like you get nervous before class and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And that's dude, if you take off for 6 months, you get nervous before. Well, at least I
Hell
do,
yeah.
right?
No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once you've been training consistently or whatever, it's like it's a style thing because all that emotion leaves and you just try to train, you try to get better. So it has to be like a style thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is a style thing. I think for jiu-jitsu, I don't know too much about MMA, but for jiu-jitsu, I feel like styles make the matchup more than the skill. Like,
Styles make the matchup
like
more skill.
unless there's a really big gap in skill,
Right.
some people's styles will just counter some other people.
You got an example?
I think
Like, who can you think of?
like, did you see Elijah Dorsey versus Nicky Ryan?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like
that was
ADCC
recent,
trial,
right?
Yeah, ADCC
Yeah,
trials
yeah.
finals,
Right.
right? Elijah Dorsey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the guy from
Lloyd Irving.
right.
He's like 110% energy all the time.
Right.
Like he has an infinite gas tank,
Yeah.
and he puts a crazy pace. Now his style is a little cagey, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a little cagey with the style, but he's very explosive with his movements, and he never lets off the gas.
Right.
And now you compare that to Nicky Ryan, who's like known to be the opposite, like known to have a terrible gas tank,
Yeah,
like known to gas out during matches and during comps. Like he's super technical. Everyone
Yeah,
knows
man.
like Nicky Ryan's like probably one of the more technical people like in
for
jiu-jitsu.
sure.
And I do think he's better than Elijah Dorsey.
Yeah,
But if you look at the match, it looks like Elijah Dorsey, like
yeah, it's
you
true,
know?
man. And I think that everybody that comes out of that Lord Irvin camp kind of has that style, that pressure style of like high intensity. Because who else came out from there? What's the name of the guy that came out? Has Elemental, I think, jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name. But I also know like
Not Elemental. It's
Kieran used to train there.
Oh, okay.
Kieran Kichuk used to train there. Didn't Keenan Cornelius used to train there way back in the day.
Keenan.
But that was back when they were like doing cult stuff.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy. Did
I
you
don't
hear
know if
about-
they still do that.
That's a good question. I don't know. I heard a story, but it may have been like a while back. It was actually Keenan Cornelius talking about like they had two houses and the cops like showed up to one of the houses.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I
Dude,
think I
that's
saw that.
crazy. Can you imagine me living in that house and you have nothing to do with it? And they tried to arrest Keenan because they thought it was him.
Dude, every story I've heard about Lloyd Irving is him. Most of it's not even jiu-jitsu related. It's like he did a lot of non-jiu-jitsu cult things. And, like,
Right.
jiu-jitsu was like his side project. And that's how I've seen like some people describe it, but I've also never seen him like talk. I've never seen like a video of him really like going into detail or anything.
No, I've never seen him. You barely catch him on camera. Like you might see him coaching once in a while, but you don't really hear him talk about jujitsu. Like he has other businesses. I think he does like marketing or something like that, and he'll talk about that. But you don't see him really talking about jujitsu.
I mean, Pringles jiu-jitsu is insane and his coaching's like really good.
Of course, man. Look at
Because
the people he's got.
everyone he produces
They're
is
They're
nasty.
crazy. Keenan Cornelius, and then he went to Atos. Yeah, no, he has a bunch of really good guys that came out of. What's the other one? AJ. Is it AJ?
Is it
Yeah,
AJ
I'm so bad
Agazarm?
with names. So that would
Did AJ Agazarm come from Lloyd Irving?
No. He's from Gracie Barra.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't think. It was
No,
from
no,
there. I don't
I-
know what other AJ you're talking
DJ.
about.
He's the one that got in trouble.
Yeah, but I don't know what his full thing is, like his
Yeah,
full
I don't
name.
know. I don't know what his full name is, but yeah, that guy was great too, man. A lot of good people come out of that school. I mean, maybe it's a cult thing. Maybe we got to be more culty.
More culty.
More culty.
I feel like jiu-jitsu is going. I don't know. I think some gyms are going into like the super culty,
Yeah.
and some are going to the exact opposite. 'Cause a lot of people are being like, "Yo, that's stupid." Like all of that stuff is just dumb.
Right.
Like- Like a lot of people see it and they're like, most people who jiu-jitsu are adults.
Yeah,
like,
man.
paying their own money, like that they work for on their own.
Yeah, for sure.
But then there's also the opposite, where some people are like, "No, we must stick to the tradition."
Yeah.
And they're just like driving it further the other way. And I see that like everywhere. I even see it like online and like in the
There's
jiu-jitsu
definitely
community,
like a
I see it.
separation between like ideologies of how jujitsu should be taught. And I think both are good, man. I think there's some benefits to tradition, and I think there's some benefits to leaving that tradition and going into like your own way. The problem is the extremism, right? So
Yeah,
like
that's
if you go
how it
way
is for everything.
if you go way to the like way crazy, then that's a problem. But if you go the other way, that you don't have any type of like, I don't know what to call it, discipline or like structure.
Yeah.
You don't have any structure to the way that you teach or the way that you're doing your classes. I think that's bad too. It's got to be right in the middle, man. Like really, that's the best way to teach jiu-jitsu is have it like right in the middle. Like don't go too far right,
Yeah.
too far left. Just stay right in the middle. Take
I-
the best of both worlds.
I feel like the problem is, honestly, like at the end of the day, bro, run your gym however you're gonna run it.
Right.
But it's all about like if you claim that you have high level jujitsu, like you have really good jujitsu, you guys have legit people, and bro, like everyone knows like when you're teaching some whack jujitsu, bro, you can't hide. Like you can't hide if your jujitsu's bad.
No.
It's either bad or
That's what the best thing about jiu-jitsu is.
exactly. But that's my problem with it is like the gyms that will say like, oh no, like we're high level and we're this and we've done this and this and this, and it's like, bro, you like the moves you're teaching, like, and not even just the moves you're teaching, like, how are you gonna say that to your students? Like,
Yeah.
you're responsible to provide for your students.
That's great. That's a
you
great
know?
thing about competition, though. Like
Competition brings that
if
out.
you're like, oh, my stuff's high level, you send a student out there and he gets demolished by something basic, like
Yeah.
something. But there's a lot of schools like that, man. There's a lot of schools that claim to have. I don't remember what school it is, and I'm not gonna mention it, but there was a school that I went to like coach a new breed, and there was a school that had T-shirts on, and they were like claiming that their jiu-jitsu was, and these people were going in and doing like really bad jiu-jitsu, and like it was really bad, man. And but there's schools that claim that they have really good jiu-jitsu, and then they throw their kids in the competition, and you have people that have like great kids program, and they just demolish them.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's not good for the kids either, man.
that's my issue with it is at the end of the day, like, bro, do whatever you want to do, but like you're setting up these people, like you're doing
Right,
you're doing
man.
them dirty. You're doing them dirty. Like I think you should.
Man.
It's your responsibility to be honest with them, bro.
100%. You have to be. You have to be, especially when it comes to like something like grappling. Like grappling is it's there's a lot of like you have to tame your ego in training, but it's worse than a competition match.
For sure.
Did you get in the match in front of your parents?
Bro, been there. Been there. Been there.
Bro, I've been there too. It's not the best.
Hell no.
It's not the best. It's not the best for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, so what do you think now that we're talking about that division between like the traditional and then like the non-traditional people are like structuring a different way? What do you think that's going to happen to like the grappling game and the grappling industry? Like, do you think everybody's going to start shifting that way, especially with like the Gordon Ryan, because New Wave and the B team? Like, how do you feel like they're going to be going more towards that type of structure of classes, like the no-gi only super competition, like ADCC focus?
I feel like whether it's gi, no gi, whatever is really irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter as much as people think. Like obviously,
really,
like, some things.
Wow.
Okay, some things like only make sense to do no gi, only make sense to do gi.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like the way you're structuring a class, the way you're teaching and explaining moves, the way you're implementing things throughout the class to make sure that your students understand the moves.
Right.
It's not gonna matter what you have on or
you think
what
that
you're
real?
teaching. I mean, I feel like that's coaching. Like that's coaching. You know
what?
what?
Are you saying so? Like, are you saying that that it doesn't matter if the structure of gi or no gi in the program, right? Let's say that they have 3 no gis and 3 gis, or let's say they're all gi. Just make it easy. They're all gi. You think that that's transferable into no gi automatically? Like, well, if it's a good structured coaching,
it depends what it is that like you're teaching. Obviously, like lapel stuff, you're not gonna do. But I just mean more like, so people are like, the only way to train no gi is like this, and the only way to train gi is like this. Okay. I don't think that really matters. I think it's like each person will learn differently.
Right.
But I think the best way, like there are some better ways of teaching classes or structuring class. I think that's more important than if you're teaching gi or no gi, or if you're teaching wrestling, or if you're teaching submission grappling, or no, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it just comes down to the quality of your class structure, the quality of your teaching.
Right.
And then if that's high, the product will be high.
Yeah, you know? That makes sense. That makes sense to me. I mean, at least like my personal experience, if I train gi too much, my no gi goes down. And if I train no gi too much, it's like my gi goes down. It has to do with the gripping, man. I think for me, it's just the gripping.
Yeah, it's like the style that you do in each. Because like if you look at Marcelo Garcia, he's amazing in both.
Right.
Because his style isn't hyper tailored to one. Like,
yeah, that's true.
A lot of his stuff is about like getting underhooks, getting butterfly guard, going front headlock. Like you can do that with the gi on. You can do that with no gi on.
Right.
So I feel like if your goal is to be like the best you can at both,
right,
then a style that's more transferable, like someone like Marcelo Garcia, or like what's this guy, Jean-Jacques Machado, who also does a lot of that underhook stuff and the butterfly and the half guard, and it's like you can do that gi or no gi.
Yeah, that's true.
Now some moves might be exclusive to one or the other, but I feel like for the most part, like from those positions, like a lot of grips are replaceable. Now if you want to be a gi guy,
right,
there's no point in like shying away from, I don't know, like will it be like spider lasso, things like that are exclusive, because I mean you're in the gi, like you're gonna be focusing on the gi that's gonna be coming up. If you're a no gi only guy, then it all depends, like to each their own.
Yeah, man, I think that makes sense, especially like when it comes to the term of the style that the person's using, because if you're like heavily gi focused, you're gonna have to go into those heavy lassos, you're gonna have to go into those spider guards and all that stuff. And as if you're heavy gi, man, like heavy no gi, you're gonna have different grips that won't work, or different setups for the gi that you're not gonna be able to, like, you will be able to transfer. Actually, you know what? If you think about it, no gi is probably easier to transfer into the gi than, well, I guess defensively. So if you think about it, like I read like Danaher say that there's benefits in both, right? So like the gi is better when it comes to defense, which makes sense because you have to stop and attack a lot
from
sooner.
Grabbing them too.
Right. So like no gi is better on offense because you get better control. You learn better control. So I guess that makes sense. Like if you have one that's very like butterfly guard intense and very underhooks with it, you're gonna be better in both. You just got to worry about the gripping, like the defensive gripping, I guess.
And it's also like your style. Like how do you learn? Like
yeah, but how do you develop your style based on what you like, right?
Well, I don't know. I feel like
you're a guard player.
I feel like I definitely consider myself a guard player, but I don't consider that like my style of jiu-jitsu. I think I'm just now starting to develop a style.
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel like there's like, especially like when you first start,
yeah.
maybe let's say when you're a white belt, you have no idea what's going on,
Right.
But you have like maybe you're like pretty solid at an arm bar or like a foot or like a straight ankle lock,
Right.
right?
I like how you bring up the straight
your
ankle lock,
style
right?
isn't straight ankle lock. Your style is an arm bar,
Right.
but you know if I can get to that position, I might be able to work.
Right.
And then maybe like you develop like some game, you know, like a game or like off the single leg X or off the ankle lock or getting to those positions or getting
Right.
to armbar setups. But like style, like I feel like when I think about style, like the Rotolos, when you see them roll, they have a very distinct style.
Yeah, man.
The way they move that's how they move. Like Marcelo Garcia, the same thing. Like the way he moves and how efficient he is, like it's the Marcelo Garcia way, like his style. I think another modern version would be like Joseph Chen.
Oh yeah,
Joseph Chen has a super unique style. I really like Joseph
yeah,
Chen's style.
Yeah, you've been passing like that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been trying to copy it because he moves like not really like pretty unique. Like I don't see a lot of other people move the way he moves in jiu-jitsu. And I feel like that's what marks like his style.
Right.
It's like what makes you uniquely you. Like when you watch a roll, it's like damn, they're moving like Mauro, they're moving like Enrique.
Right.
And I feel like I'm not there yet.
That makes sense. Like, yeah, you're right when it says like they have like if you think Marcelo Garcia, you think X guard, you think butterfly guard, and the Rotolos dude. Did you see that fight, Rotolo last one? That's when he had
against who
in the IBJF Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, where he like doubled this guy and like that. That's a good example of like the Rotolos.
Yeah.
What they do in the gi, they're gonna do no gi. What they do in no gi, they're gonna do gi.
Yeah, like, I guess man, that has.
They might replace a grip with a collar or with a club, whatever. Like depends what they're wearing, but they're gonna do the same shit and they're gonna move the same way and they're gonna, you know, approach it the exact same way.
Yeah, so that's not like what you were saying. Like that style has to be like easily transferable one day. I think what happened like when I was training, I was really into the lasso. Like lasso, I loved the lasso McGee, and then when I started training more no-gi, I was like, I can't. Sucks. What am I doing? I'm terrible.
Yeah, that happened to me because like collar sleeve. I used to play a lot of collar sleeve in the gi, and I would also play a lot like supine, like off my back, like guard off my back, and then I realized like you don't want to be playing guard off your back in no-gi. Like you want to be seated, you know, like when possible, and I feel like that's where there's problems in the switch. Where in gi you're much more comfortable being off your back, right? Yeah. Where no gi might not be the way that that might not be as advantageous. And if you started traditionally like no gi, you didn't do as much gi, like you only did no gi, and you were to switch over, right? You would have the opposite, where you'd be like you would see like some things that are just part of the way you move and the way you do jiu-jitsu. It's like, oh, this doesn't really work. Like I gotta adjust, dude. And then if you're doing gi and you're doing seated, you have like that what's that loop choke that's always there, bro? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done gi in a long time, and I did it like not that long ago, and I realized like I lost all conditioning in like my fingers. Yeah. Like the grips, bro. I had collar sleeve, and I threw a lasso in, and the guy went to just circle his hand down. I was like, oh shit! Like I had to I tried to hold it. Yeah, that burning fear at the tip of the fingers. Yeah, like where your knuckles, like where the stress is on your knuckles. I had to let go. And then I remember I was like, bro, I used to hold on to that shit like no problem. Like people would fight it, and you would really keep that grip. Yeah. You see it in their face, like what? Yeah, and I don't know. I lost. I don't even know how I did. That's one of the things I don't miss is the finger pain. If you like no-gi, that's what you're doing, man. That's what you're focusing on, right? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just do whatever's more fun, right? Because it's just jiu-jitsu, like. And why do you find no-gi more fun? What is it about no-gi that you like more? You get to move so much more. Yeah, I like the pace. You don't have to be more athletic, right? You know, like it's not like a athleticism thing, because you can be unathletic and still be moving a lot in no-gi, right? But I feel like in the gi, it's so easy for if the other person doesn't want to do that much jiu-jitsu, boom, they'll just grab a collar. You know, they'll grab these certain grips and they slow you down. Sometimes 100%. They stop the match. Yeah. And that just is so annoying. I also feel you can be so much more creative in no-gi because you have so much more movement. Right. I feel like you're able to connect so many more positions and stuff. And and the leg locks obviously the leg lock is just fun. Yeah, dude, your straight ankle lock still gives me nightmares. I remember when you caught me that straight ankle the first time, my ankle was like sore. I was trying to hold it. I was trying to. You didn't want to tap. I didn't want to tap. That's valid. I didn't want to tap. I was like, you caught my ankle. And I was like, this motherfucker he's not gonna catch me. And all of a sudden, I felt like the sharp pain. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I was probably ripping it back then. That's probably my bad. I was probably being an asshole. No, it's just my bad. I should have tapped. But I thought like, oh, I can get out of it, whatever. And I also like have this tendency just because of my foot's small. And it's dude, you're really, really hard to foot lock. Like it's no straight ankle lock. I get caught all the time, but like the heel hook, it's just my foot slips out. every single time.
So I'm getting this bad habit. I'm starting to leave my foot there, and
Ooh.
people are starting to notice that like
Yeah.
I can get the straight ankle, and they just go straight for the straight ankle.
That's another habit I got from gi is like leaving my foot out in positions like that. When I switched to training more no gi, I was like I realized there's so many habits that it's completely fine to do in the gi or maybe the
Yeah.
other way around, but you do it in the other sport, and it's like,
I love how you call it other sport.
I mean, it low-key is.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, I'm on the on the side that if you want to be really good at no-gi, you have to train no-gi. If you want to be
Mhm.
really good at gi, you have to train the gi. Like if you want to be good at both, you have to train both.
Of course, yeah,
You have to.
for sure.
Like I like gi because I like the creativeness of the guard and the lapel and all that stuff. I like the art of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I enjoy doing it. But I like no-gi too, man, because I like leg locks, which I'm not great at, but I like them. You know what I mean? So like I have to do both. I have to be
Yeah.
training both because that's just the way I want to be better at both of them. You know what I mean?
I
I'm not
get
like
you.
a competitor, but
Mhm.
I enjoy training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like another thing for me, at least, for like wanting to train more no-gi is because I compete a little more often, and I notice like bro, some gi competitions are just like
Oh, you
like-
don't like that, BJF?
I feel like a lot of gi competition culture is like what's considered technical is just
I like where
like
this is going.
it's
Keep
just
going,
like
keep going.
score a point
Dude,
and then stop.
Yeah, man.
Like that's not the point of jiu-jitsu. The point
Right.
of jiu-jitsu is to control them and then submit them eventually.
Right.
Or work towards a submission. Like you might not be able to submit every single one of your opponents, right? But if you're able to dominate throughout positions,
Right.
you were clearly much better. But if all you did was
100%.
sweep them and then just hold on top,
Right.
are you really that much better than the guy?
Dude, that was a problem when the IBGF when they were doing like the 50-50 just started.
Yeah, I remember
Like
that.
people would just wait until the end and then try to sweep from the 50-50 or like try to stand up and get the advantage or whatever. Try to submit and get like the advantage of pulling out the guy's ankle.
Mhm.
And I think that has to change, man. If you want gi to be interesting, you need to change the way that you're scoring.
Yeah, I think I really just think it's like a cultural thing because also like in no-gi, people are expected to scrap more.
Right.
Now you don't
You
have
have
to.
to. You kinda
do
have
like
to do.
ADCC style like wrestling if that's not your thing.
Right.
You know, you can scrap from guard whatever, but like the goal is always sub.
Right.
Always, it's always sub. It's always people
Yeah.
are always thinking for a sub. Like, and not that people won't stall. There's gonna be
Right.
stallers. People are gonna game
Dude, but
the
it's
rule
hard to
set
stall
no
in
matter
gi
what.
and no-gi.
It's definitely much harder.
It's so much
for
harder
sure.
because it's slippery. Like if you stall a little bit, it's such a fast-paced version of grappling that you can't really stall. Like where are you
Yeah.
gonna stall? What
It just-
position can you stall from?
It's so hard. Like you need to be in a really, really dominant position to stall in the first place.
You have
to
to be in-
really
you're
hold
right.
someone down
Right.
and like be able to just chill. Like you gotta be in a pretty good position.
Even there, so let's say you have like the back. Let's say you could take the back, right?
Yeah,
You can't really stall on the back against an experienced grappler, dude. You have to like.
yeah. You have to stay
attack.
active. You have to stay.
attack.
That's
You have
what
to
I
attack.
like about it.
Right.
Is at the end of the day, like I don't want to. You don't want to just rack up a million points because, or what's the point if?
But
if
you didn't
pass
start
someone's
jiu-jitsu
guard?
to score points.
Yeah,
Nobody started
jiu-jitsu
jiu-jitsu to score
You
points.
start jiu-jitsu
To
well,
submit people.
Depends who it is, but to beat people up. You know, you want to make sure that if
For the most part.
for the most part, you won't get beat up.
Right.
That's what it really is. As long as
Right.
you won't get beat up.
Yeah, I mean, you start jiu-jitsu because you want like I started jiu-jitsu. I remember when I was like 3, I saw the UFC and my dad told me that the skinny guy was gonna win. And then there was no jiu-jitsu in Puerto Rico. And I did judo for a long time. And then when we moved here, I started jiu-jitsu. But the reason I started jiu-jitsu is because I wanted to be that skinny guy. You know what I
Beating
mean?
up all the
That could take care of himself with this big monster.
Yeah.
Like came in. That's why I started. Like I think most people start because of that.
That's definitely how a lot of people start.
For sure.
And it's also because like there's such a crossover in jiu-jitsu between like nerds.
Dude, 100%.
Now whether it's nerds and like like the traditional what you think of like when I was just playing video games every day after
Right.
school, or like maybe they're like in like the tech industry or whatever. Like
Right.
it's people that like to think like they like a challenge.
solving problems.
And
yeah.
also happens a lot of them are on the smaller side or on the skinnier side, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. So that like marketing perspective of jiu-jitsu where it's like the smaller guy will beat up the bigger guy,
Yeah.
super intense to the smaller guys.
Right.
And then the bigger guys are gonna be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
that's how they get enticed into checking it out.
Yeah, for 100%, man. I think that's when it comes to in terms of martial arts, like all the martial arts you put together, I think that what makes jiu-jitsu so relevant and relevant for such a long time, right? Is that it's marketed to the smaller person and it has been able to, it's in a martial art that is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like karate, I'm not a karate guy, but there's not really, in my opinion, I don't see much evolution from there. Like maybe it's because I don't do karate. You know what I mean? But in jiu-jitsu, the moves and the positions and the submissions, there's always like adjustments that are happening
Yeah.
in grappling. It's always happening.
I mean, I feel like people forget like jiu-jitsu is like super young. like if we really think about it, like
What do you mean by like young? Wait, where are we
okay,
starting from?
think about like wrestling or boxing or anything like
Right.
karate, any other martial art, even like bro, even basketball and stuff like that has been
You mean like the sport?
significant as a sport
Oh,
has
okay,
been
okay, okay, okay,
significantly
okay.
more popular and well established for like a long period of time.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu was up until like a couple decades ago was really just like a family and like their friends, like people who knew them,
Right.
training.
Right.
Right. Then it started growing. Then UFC is when it really had that first
Yeah, the
giant
sport
boom.
aspect of it for sure.
And that's when it became more of a sport. That's before that. I feel like it was more like
It was judo.
it was just people running to different gyms, beating each other
Right.
up, and
Like,
that was it.
Like the history of jiu-jitsu comes from like the unconsolidated forms of jiu-jitsu. It became judo, and then judo it became a sport, and then that's when it like really broke off.
Yeah.
Like judo, like Maeda was under Yogoro Kano, and then he moved, but so it came out of judo.
Yeah.
But if you consider that, you compare that to wrestling, and you compare that to all the other like grappling arts, it's definitely young for sure, man. For sure,
I think that's why you see like for a long time, what we consider like old school jiu-jitsu was very basic because
Right.
I mean imagine like you need a bunch of people to be working and developing and trying out these moves in different scenarios for the sport to grow.
right.
So I think it is an exponential thing, but at the beginning it was much more basic jiu-jitsu. You know, all the avenues haven't been adventured or haven't explored. Sorry, and then you see people going the complete opposite way, right? Where it's like, let's do the craziest, funkiest, flashiest moves you can think of.
Right.
You know, that's back in like I feel like from like 2014 to like up until a couple years ago, which is when it was like Berimbolo started popping.
Dude,
all the
Berimbolos.
anything where you were inverting, all the flashiest leg locks, flashiest submissions, and then it went like that for a couple years, and then I think it's going back around,
What do you mean back around? Back around to like
back around to more fundamental jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
because people are like realizing like, okay, yeah, that flashy and cool stuff works, but if that's all we do, it's probably not the best. Like,
right.
and that's like a lot of like John Danaher, like Gordon Ryan stuff. It's just really, really detailed, like fundamental jujitsu.
Yeah,
Like super
100%.
detailed fundamental jujitsu.
Yeah, you won't see like them inverting and stuff. Well, I mean, you will, but what at least what they're promoting, what they're marketing, what they're selling is like stuff that's really fundamental and really detailed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they kind of made like it was not like the craziest realization to make, but they made it before a lot of other people.
Right.
Right. They got really, really good at it, and
They
now
also
everyone
defined
else.
things.
Yeah, exactly.
They
That's
brought
huge.
words into it. They brought like words, bro. They brought like definitions, terms and stuff. They brought that into that, and that changes the game, dude. If you have something that you can think of like and term it and like use that word to describe a position, it changes everything.
For
man.
sure.
It changes everything.
And I think all the people are realizing that now, and they're like, maybe we should start copying and doing what they're doing.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened over the last couple of
They're
years.
starting to use their terms.
Yeah, people would just straight up use their terms, which is funny because like a lot of the stuff they do isn't even like originally there. Like it's just
It's not.
just copied, but then they'll use their own terms anyways.
Yeah.
Because they like refuse to use the original terms and like give people credit.
I mean, would you, dude? If you have that detail and you have that, I guess you have that product. Like, if you define, well,
I think it depends on what it is, because like the other day, like I think we talked about this. I saw like the Terco Plata.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the Terco Plata.
Right.
That's what it's called. Tarek, I don't know his full name, but Tarek invented it, right? Very much his signature thing. I seen Nicholas Miragali for the last couple months just hitting it on random people at Roca, right?
Yeah.
Like in lead up for his fight, and he calls it leg Kimura every time. And I think it's so funny because
I didn't know that, dude.
even in the comments, people will be like leg Kimura question mark, don't you mean Terco Plata? And he would he refuses to call it Terco Plata. And
but the Miaos are hitting it now everywhere, man.
Yeah, they've been doing it. They've been doing that like the Brado Plata for a couple years.
Yeah.
But that's like another like super niche thing that they do.
Right.
But like that's just like one example. But there's a lot of moves like that they've stolen or like systems they take, and they're just like that's our stuff. Or they'll call it a different name,
right?
So that it's like, oh yeah, that exists too, but this is how I teach. This is my version. It's just like under a different name.
Yeah. So what are your plans for like competing and stuff? Are you planning on competing anytime soon?
Yeah, I wanted to do some like local like events that were like coming in, but I wasn't able to get any of the cards. I probably just gotta wait a couple months for like stuff to get announced again.
It's usually like it's slowed down, right?
Yeah, but it's usually like every like 3 or 4 months, things will start like popping up again.
Right.
But I think this is the end of the year, and there's a lot more vacation and breaks, and people aren't really like even training as consistently.
Yeah,
at
makes
that
sense.
time. But I feel like starting now towards like winter is when a lot of competitions start coming up.
You're gonna do the Abu Dhabi. That's ADCC. I think it's in Orlando. Or did that pass already?
Oh yeah, they're doing another ADCC Open in Orlando. I think in July. Yeah, I'm gonna do that one.
Yeah, that's
I
gonna be
got
dope.
I got like a transferable credit like to sign up for free because the last one I did, my first match was until like 11 or like 11:30
Oh, I
p.m.
read that, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, so they were like yeah, any of those athletes like they get a
Did you compete?
yeah, I competed at. I mean, my first match was
Yeah.
like at 11, but they just were basically like to repay the athletes. They were like, "Oh, you guys can just transfer your credit over to any other future ADCC
Dude,
Open."
11 is crazy. What time did you get there?
Like 12 maybe.
Dude, being in
12 or
competition,
1.
being in the competition for that, like,
Yeah,
didn't
that
the
was
nerves kill
brutal.
you?
Not really, because at some
Did
point,
they keep pushing the fight
yeah,
backwards and backwards and
at
backwards?
one point it's just like, bro, I've been here for so long, like I just want to compete.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
I
was
wanna go
the
home.
that was the case for most people. They were just like, bro, like I just want to compete at this point.
Right.
Like it's my match was, let's say it was supposed to be at like 6 or 5, ends up being at almost midnight. Like my first match, the guy pulled out because
Right.
he's like, I gotta go home, bro. Like I gotta drive
Yeah, yeah.
back home. Like I do not have time to compete, and that happened for a lot of people.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. You don't expect to be on the competition team until 11 o'clock. It's crazy.
It's also terrible because how are you expected to perform at 11 p.m. when you've
No,
been
man.
sitting in like the venue the whole day, and like the nerves, like bro, 11 p.m. That's ridiculous.
Dude, that happened to me in Naga. And when I was in Naga once, and it was in Orlando too, bro, they said that my competition was at 3, and I ended up competing like at 10 or 9 or 10 or dude, and I was exhausted, and I hadn't even competed.
Yeah, the thing is with new breeds and Nuggets, it's like they're kind of known for being a little.
I didn't know that.
Really?
No, I didn't know.
I feel
that
like
was like my first jiu-jitsu competition.
oh, so that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Like they're known for the schedule being like, all right, you might get pushed up a couple hours or pushed back a couple hours.
Right.
But ADCC, like they
expect
market
it.
themselves
Right.
as the highest end, even for the opens. Like it's very respectable. We run on time. It's a very professional event,
Right.
and you see that because they're maxing out their events.
Right.
They're getting 1,400 people signing up. But bro,
That's
if you
crazy.
cannot manage 1,400 people in one day, then
That's crazy.
don't make it a one.
How many people did you have in your bracket then? I can imagine that your brackets are like.
I don't think it
packed.
was crazy for this one, but I think it varies. Mine had like 30 something, which is obviously like a big bracket. I
Right.
think it was like 30 something. I could be wrong,
That's
but
a pretty big bracket.
but I compare that to like when like most people like will go blue belt adult,
right.
like 70, 80, 90 people brackets.
Yeah, man.
So I feel like 30 is not the craziest. It's also I think that's like 4 or 5
You
matches.
go IBJF and you could do blue belt adult, your division, bro.
Yeah.
That's stacked.
I mean, when I used to do IBJJF, I'm used to doing like my biggest division ever was 11 people.
Really?
'Cause I did juvenile, and there's not that many juveniles.
Oh.
So for a long time, that was like I was basically just doing round robins or like maybe we had like 4 or 5 people, and then Pans was my biggest one where I had 11.
Really?
Yeah, and then and once I became adult, then I started doing like regular.
Dude, that's so
brackets.
crazy that you go from juvenile, they have like 11 in your bracket, and then you go to the adult division,
Yeah,
and then it's like
like 9 times, 10 times.
yeah, because
more.
it's the kids that come from juveniles, and then all the people that just went from white to blue. But it'd be great for you that you've been training for like 5 years, and you got a guy that's been training for like a year.
I feel that difference. I used to think that I wouldn't feel that difference. I figured it wouldn't mean much, but I can definitely tell like if it's like I've been doing jiu-jitsu longer than them. If like they've only been a blue belt, they've been training like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Because I don't even think it's like necessarily like a skill thing. Because
it's definitely a skill thing, man, for sure.
Well, I feel like
Like you
the amount
develop
of
5
time-
years of skill. It's got to be a skill thing.
I think it's the way you like the understanding of like how you move your body.
I would define that as
different.
skill, bro.
I guess like I
I
guess
would
it's a
think-
skill. I guess it's a skill. When I think about skill, I guess I was thinking like straight technique.
Oh, okay.
You
No,
know?
man, you have to have better technique than if you're doing it for 5 years. You gotta have better technique than somebody's been doing it for a year.
Yeah, but also it's a year for sure. But I mean, it's different.
Like an average blue belt is like what, a year?
I think it takes a year to get a blue belt.
Some people get it in like 6 months, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. I think it depends. But I feel like it's more about like the quality of the time than the amount of time, and also when because like look at Joseph Chen. He's been training 5 years.
Dude, but there's
But obviously,
there's anomalies.
He is an outlier.
that guy
but-
ate jiu-jitsu for like 8 hours, bro.
But I mean, that shows that a lot of it is about quality of training.
Okay.
But also, like when you start training, like as a kid, like it's different. Like it's hard to explain unless you also did jujitsu as a kid. But it's
Right.
like we're not really doing it the same jujitsu. Like it's a little different. A lot of things that
That makes sense. Like the training isn't the same. Like you're not like when you're doing it when you're in a kids class, it's not gonna be the same as
yeah,
an adult
exactly.
class.
And also, a lot of techniques are like techniques you wouldn't even think of are not allowed. Like arm triangles.
Omoplatas.
Omoplatas aren't allowed. Arm triangles aren't allowed. Like even from a triangle, you know how sometimes to finish people will put on the back of the head.
Yeah.
Like that's not allowed. Like
Really?
I think it was like no arm and guillotines allowed. So like arm and guillotine is fine, but as soon as arm, so it's like a lot of moves just get canceled out.
Right. So you have to play
Completely
play
canceled.
catch up.
Yeah, it is a little different.
But then you get really good at like certain moves then too.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also like not every place is like AOJ where they have like a fleet of Terminator
Jesus
robots
Christ,
who
dude.
are all like 8 years old and move. They move like they have like it's a jiu-jitsu textbook.
Yeah, man.
Like it's ridiculous. I watch them move and it's scary because I'm like,
Yes, dude.
I'm like this kid's like an orange belt.
You're
a yellow
telling
belt,
me, bro.
and it's like, what the hell is he gonna do when he's
Yeah.
18 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old?
Dude, I see those yellow belts like, and there's sometimes it pops out of my feed like the yellow belt kids from AOJ that are doing tournaments, and you see them like hit these crazy sweeps and these barambolos and stuff. It's like, dude, I've been doing it for like 15, 14 years, and I can't do that.
Bro, it's like a lot of these kids, I don't even understand how they're like so good at it, because
Bro,
it's hard to teach a kid to like
that's
to
dude,
move
100%.
that way. To move that way is difficult. I mean, I'm sure it's much easier to learn. Maybe it's you can learn it quicker as a kid. Maybe
Yeah,
you can understand it. But that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. But like to get a kid to like sit down and focus and be that elite.
Yeah.
And you gotta be pretty focused when you're getting to that level of jujitsu.
And especially if they're starting from scratch, like jiu-jitsu body movements aren't natural movements.
Yeah,
they're not.
I wonder how. Like, I always wonder though, like, what are they doing over there to produce that
Dude,
squadron?
I've been
you see
thinking
the kids
about that.
He took with him to Titan Jopper took with him to the Who's Number One
Yes.
against Oliver Taza.
Yes.
Dude, and you've watched any of their matches that when they get posted on Instagram, and the moves that they're hitting are the same moves that like Tainan or like Cole are hitting, but like in a little miniature version, and they're hitting it like perfectly. Like it's really
that's
impressive.
A good example of like those two brothers were great competitors, but sometimes being a great competitor doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach.
Yeah. Dude, one of them's a coach, one of them's not so much, right?
Oh, really? I don't know. I thought they both owned the school. And
they both own the school, but I think one of them is like takes on much more of the coaching role than the other. I'm not gonna say which. I don't know which, but I'm.
But either way,
sure
knowing that they were great competitors, and whoever's doing the coaching, if it's both of them or it's just one of them, they were able to transfer that information onto these kids that are, let's say it's their first day, right? It's their first day, and transfer these type of movements onto them over time, right? But like still to develop these killers, it's crazy.
They have something figured out that
dude,
other people haven't figured out yet.
Bro.
Like they definitely have some system or something of teaching jiu-jitsu that other people haven't gone around to.
Yeah, man.
Because they're replicating it. That's how you know it exists.
Right.
Because it's being replicated over and over and over again.
Yeah, they have some system.
Yeah, and at first it was kind of like, I guess they were like maybe working it because it was only like Cole and like Tainan. And there was other people who were good, right? And they were considered world class. But there was like Cole and Tainan.
Right.
And there was everybody else.
Which they came up with the kids program too.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. They did come up from the kids program. But now you see they have so many other black belts with them.
Yeah.
Who I guess now that they figured out more of that coaching, so many people joined them. Like Diego Pato joined them.
Yeah. I saw that.
And Diego Pato's like amazing.
Yeah, he was sick before.
He's terrifying.
Yeah.
He's terrifying. His submissions are terrifying. He breaks everyone's legs.
Didn't he? Who did he just beat in? And I think it was Who's Number One?
Dante Leon.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Dude, that guy's.
It's hard to submit Dante Leon.
He fought in the Grand Prix too.
He did. And I like Dante Leon because he's super tough. Him.
Yeah,
and he's a light guy. Like he's strong as hell, but he's like a 155er.
Right.
And he was doing like you said, the GP, which is an absolute GP.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, he's tough. Like he's just super, super tough.
Yeah, I saw like his vlogs and stuff, and that guy trains like a maniac, bro.
He's an athlete. Like I think that's what will set people apart now that jiu-jitsu is growing is people who live like athletes.
Right.
Like jiu-jitsu, because it's young, some people can get away with they're just good jiu-jitsu guys, and then the rest of their lives they can just do whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But eventually your whole life, like every decision, like from the way you're eating to the way you're sleeping to like has to be super locked in and focused.
Yeah, man.
And also I think as jiu-jitsu grows, less steroids, people will be able to get away with less.
Man, the thing is that how are they gonna even like track those steroids? I mean, I guess what you're saying is on the technical level, they'll be able to. I mean, it's not gonna be an issue, but I mean, once you're at that level and you're taking steroids, dude, the strength definitely plays a factor, man.
Yeah, I think it will go away eventually because like look at early UFC. I think that's where jiu-jitsu is. Early UFC days, is where jiu-jitsu is, where it's like it's pretty fucking popular.
Yeah.
Now it's not like super mainstream popular.
Yeah.
Right. But everyone knows about the UFC. Like, back then when everyone was juiced in the UFC, like very obviously juiced to the gills.
Right.
Right. Everyone was like, yo, what's that like fighting thing? These people are beating them up.
Right,
it's kind of how just people see jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know? and obviously that it's grown a lot because of the UFC. But eventually, once money comes into jiu-jitsu,
Right.
which is when there's money,
Right.
once money comes in
Yeah.
and big money comes in, eventually brands and other things are gonna demand testing,
Yeah.
and I don't think it'll like fully phase out steroids. People always use steroids.
Yeah.
I think there will be some competitions that like not that they allow steroids, but they won't test.
Right. Like
You
kind of
know?
like what was it? It was Pride, I guess. They actually like put it in their contract. We will not be testing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like specifically against the rules. It's that it's just not in the rules.
Yeah. Nobody. They're looking away.
It's like the Gordon Ryan argument where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, everyone does it. Like, why would it? Like, it's not against the rules to do.
Yeah, but then you have the
steroids, which is
Rotolos,
stupid.
dude. You have people that are completely clean and they're killing it.
Which I find them to be so much more likable because it's like, bro, like I think it's really cringe the way Gordon Ryan is openly like talks about how much he abuses steroids, and he's like, well, it's not against the rules, so I'm allowed to do it. Blah blah blah. It's like, bro, that's like the
Yeah, and then
most
you have the other
cringe
extreme.
answer.
You have Craig Jones on the other side talking about nose beers.
Yeah,
I
but,
love Craig Jones, dude.
Craig Jones also like openly abuses steroids. Well, he's on steroids.
You think so?
Bro,
I didn't know, dude. He didn't look like a steroid user,
dude.
bro.
He's not. He definitely doesn't have. I mean, that's the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because the lifestyle he lives is definitely
No, yeah.
not an athlete
Yeah.
lifestyle.
So why would he even take steroids? Like if he's doing like all this coke and he's
it's
like
like
partying and shit.
recovery and all that shit. And,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, he talks about he's on steroids.
Yeah, I've heard him.
I honestly believe
dude,
it.
the thing is, I don't know when he's joking, when he's not joking.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
As
But
like so when he says he's using steroids, I don't know if he's trying to make fun of Gordon Ryan. I don't know what he's doing.
I think from so many other people around him also saying it, like he definitely does his steroids. I mean, he was doing like a segment where he was like revealing his stack.
Right? No, yeah, he was. Doesn't he like promote? He was like promoting.
Yeah,
it?
because he's sponsored by like TRT company or something. So he's like revealing his stack, and he was like saying like legit numbers, like legit things. So I'm pretty sure he's on steroids, but also he's open about it in a different way. Like
Yeah.
because he's getting like he's number 2 because
Yeah.
he's second placing everything or he's falling just short. It's almost like whatever. He takes himself too seriously. But Gordon Ryan takes himself so seriously,
Yeah.
and then is also like openly abusing steroids. It's a little cringe
Yeah, it is. But I mean, he's the one that's really bringing has brought the sport to the next level. I think.
for sure.
Like he's definitely brought it to the next level. Whether it's cringe or not, it's great for us. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
great for the
I
sport, man.
absolutely agree with that, and I think that that's his goal. Like he's talked about, he goes, I just want to help grow jiu-jitsu. However, I can, and if it works, it works.
Yeah.
But I think like it's works for now, but now people are kind of going the other way, which is like the Craig Jones route,
Right.
which is more like, all right, like you're good, but we need some personality.
Dude, that's
You know?
100%. He's 100% more likable, and I honestly like. I think that like you're saying that going into that run, I think that's going to be like the growth because people are seeing that he's not even winning, and actually this is something that Carmichael says. Like he's like getting first place will kind of like ruin his brand, not ruin his brand, but like he doesn't
Yeah.
need it.
He does not need to.
He doesn't
win
need
first.
to win Abu Dhabi.
And
in order
if
to
you can
make his brand
tie,
better.
like, if your income and your success is directly tied to your results in competition,
Right, like Gordon
it's
Ryan.
a lot of pressure.
Like Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, I feel like Gordon Ryan has now gotten to the point where it's like he's kind of put himself like into the corner where it's like,
Right, dude.
if
Of
I
course he has.
don't win, it ruins everything.
Yeah.
But also, he has gotten to the point where he's made so much money off instructionals and so much other stuff, and his name is so big
Yeah.
that he can get away with competing once a year, once every 2 years,
Right.
how he's been doing.
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple times a year, very like sporadically.
Yeah.
And as long as he's cherry picking, which he's low key, he's not low key, he is cherry picking his matches.
You think he's cherry picking his matches? Of course he
Bro,
is.
of course he is. Of course he's cherry picking his matches. And it's like, I mean,
Well,
respect.
who should he go against if he's not cherry picking? Like, who do you think that would be a good competitor for him to face?
I just saw Mason Fowler talking
Dude,
about
that guy's gonna fight. That guy's gonna fight tonight.
tonight. Yeah, I saw him talking about it. I think yesterday he was like, he's like, bro, I've been chasing Gordon Ryan, and all he does is just pull out for this and then for this and for the other reason. It's like it's not worth it to my brand anymore. It's not worth
Yeah.
it for me as a competitor to just chase this guy. Like he's gonna continue to just pick whatever opponents he wants and just compete every now and then to keep the brand alive. And I was like, yeah, like that's exactly what he's doing.
That guy's a monster, man. He's fighting Pedro
Marino.
I think so. Yeah.
That's a good match.
Yeah,
I
it's a good
honestly
one.
think either one of them could win. I think, but I think like other than Mason Fowler, maybe, of course, Nicky Rod would always be another match.
Dude, the last
And
match that they
especially
had.
after the last,
Yeah.
the last one would call for a rematch, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That calls
100%.
for a rematch.
100%.
But of course, it was too close for Gordon.
Yeah.
Which the thing is, can you really blame him? Like from his
No.
perspective, like it's a right call.
I mean, if for the business of it,
for the
it's
business
it's
of
great.
it, it's the right call.
But if you're like a competitor, I think you should fight everybody.
Yeah, I think it's better.
Business
like
wise, it makes sense. Like, let's make sure that I can keep my brand alive or whatever. But if you're a fighter, if you're a competitor, you gotta fight everybody.
Yeah, and his brand is is about being the greatest and not losing and being like absolutely perfect.
Right.
So it almost does make sense that like he wants everything to his own like specifications, like his rule set, his time limit, his whatever, his
Yeah.
opponent, because he knows, bro. Of course he's gonna cook. And it's not like he's not. I'm not trying to take away from his skill because obviously he's
Yeah, he's great.
fucking insane.
Yeah.
But he is cherry picking, and that's like.
Do you think that with that match against Gordon Ryan, so like that against Nicky Rod, do you think that Nicky Rod kind of stalled a little bit in there though? Like when he was in the half guard, he was kind of stalling.
Yeah, but
until he got to those overtime rounds.
The thing is, it's like with Gordon Ryan, like also.
Which is a smart strategy, dude. If you're really good at that ABI rule set and you're gonna plant and you're really good at escaping and attacking the back or whatever the case may be, it's a good strategy.
It's a good strategy, but also then what's the point of the other 6 minutes of competition?
I get it, 100%. But if you're going with it, like let's say you're going with a guy that's really good, right?
Yeah,
that's really good, and you know that he's gonna submit you, and you would pull off those 6 minutes. I'm not saying that I agree with the strategy,
but it's a valid strategy. I mean, you can't take it away because in competition, that's the reason there's a rule set, right? You know, so you can maneuver your way through the rule set.
You can play the game.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it makes it any less dumb. But it is valid. Like sometimes you have no option. You're like, damn, I have to stall now, right? When it gets submitted. But I feel like Nicky Rod just.
I don't think Nicky Rod. I mean, I think that he may have stalled a little bit to get to that EBI rule set because it was close, man. And I think that he's done so many rounds with Gordon that he's like, if I can get to this point, I know I've beaten him before. Let me do this.
It's also like. Think about it, Gordon Ryan half guard is like probably his best position, like from top and bottom. Yeah. So it's like, if you know just how good it is, right?
Right.
I don't know if it's so much stalling. It's almost like trying to make sure that he can set up his entry properly because we all know like Nicky Rod wants the body lock.
Right.
But if he rushes the body lock in Gordon's half guard, he's definitely gonna get subbed or swept. Like he's gonna end up in a bad position.
100%.
So I don't know as much stalling, but I don't know. I don't think Nicky Rod's like a big submission guy really. I don't think he gets a lot of submissions.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't. Yeah, I mean, I can't recall one right now. I know that he does a lot of body passing, and that's like his thing, but I can't remember a submission off the top of my head.
I don't think he gets a lot of subs. I think a lot of his wins.
Watch him submit somebody.
He said he's trying to submit him today.
Okay, watch him submit somebody, and we're talking shit.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, because this comes out on Wednesday, so when this comes out,
the match already happened.
Yeah, the match.
No, I mean I saw him talking about. He goes, yeah, I want to submit him. I don't submit many people. Like basically saying like he doesn't submit as many people, as he would like to.
Right.
And obviously like he's really good.
Dude, but he's a high level and he's been high level for a while and he hasn't been training that long. So there's gotta be like this gap between
he's also been training 5 years. Just training 5 years.
Why aren't you, bro? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's
something
between me, Nicky Rod, and Joseph, and I'm not sure.
What's going on? It's the same amount of time, bro.
Dude, Joseph is like well, the thing is like Joseph is like a little bit of an experiment. Like he is this kid who just basically dropped out of school.
Yeah, man.
And then, but instead of doing like the
wasn't he in China?
Yeah. I think he grew up in China. So like instead of because what people do is like kids will drop out of school and just go train jiu-jitsu every day.
Yeah.
And he did that, except he actually studied. He didn't just go like pojada every single day.
Yeah.
A lot of people, the people just expect like if I just show up and I just train, I'll just become a world champion.
Yeah.
Which is probably not how it works.
No, that guy like learned how to stream stuff and he got all the instructionals and he was studying like pretty hardcore before.
I mean, he was at the source of pirating source.
Yeah, it's true.
So
That's true.
He definitely had the connection for every instruction.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah. It was all a plan.
It was all planned. Yeah, man. That guy spent a lot. He says it too. Like in his interviews, he's like, he would sit down and study. He would train, study, and that's. I mean, a lot of people I think are starting to do that now.
I think it's interesting how he credits his like part of his success to, when he was training, he had like, of course, like his maybe like handful of like main training partners.
Yeah.
But most of the people that he trained with, he was like he intentionally was rolling with people that were worse than him.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't gain as much having like, if we go and we have a really tough role,
right?
It's like maybe I don't really get to work through the system that I'm working through, and neither do you, because we're both just like
we're trying to survive.
If he goes with some person who's like, he can work through positions and stuff, like that's how he figures stuff out.
Right.
So he's like
with most of his roles, a little bit of resistance.
Most of his roles are against like. Well, I won't say worse, but just like lower belts and stuff.
Right.
And like he says,
you're
like
about to say worse belts.
no, but like against lower belts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good way of going about it. I mean, it does make sense. Like at the end of the day, it's just what works for him might not work for me or for you or for someone else. Like people are so focused on trying to be like, this is the best way to learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I just doubt that there's one best like way that fits all people. It's
Well,
just, like,
people
not
learn differently,
possible.
dude.
Exactly.
People learn differently. Like the way that I learn and the way that you, which is also like when you have a school like AOG, like you were saying,
Yeah.
how people learn differently, and you're able to have a squad that's big. You're catering to these people to like.
Mhm.
That means you have a system in which a lot of people can learn at
Yeah.
the same time.
Or it's they only the people that fit into that system end up coming out. You know what I mean?
And they probably have a better like sample group of people that go over there. Like,
Yeah, I mean they have a bunch of people going
that
in,
want to go.
and let's say for every 10 people that go in, only 2, are perfect for that system.
Yeah.
The other 8 might not. Maybe they will stay around, but they won't make it to that same level. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. Like, just because maybe let's say they have the best instructor, let's say they guarantee have the best instruction in the world.
Right.
You might become better training somewhere else that might be the second, the third, the fourth, whatever. It's not as good.
Right.
But if the style fits you more, you might just understand it more, and
Yeah. All right. So we're ending this up. If you could give yourself advice when you started, what would it be? Or anyway, but what would it be the advice?
Probably to slow down.
That's interesting.
Slow down. Like,
Yeah.
slow down.
Take your time.
Yeah, like crazy. Because so many new people are so tense the entire time they're rolling, and so like on edge, like hyperventilating, trying to look like, where's the sub, where's the sweep, where's this, where's that. Like, you're gonna tire yourself out, right? And it's also so much harder to think like that.
Yeah, man.
Like, if I was able to just relax and just like flow through positions more earlier, I think I would probably learn a lot more. Obviously it's harder because when you're new and stuff, it's like just getting beat up and I have no idea what's going on. It's like hard. It's pretty hard to like clear your mind or
Dude,
to think straight when you're like that. And it is a skill.
Yeah.
But I think like,
but you learn it.
I would probably work on like developing that skill, on like being able to just kind of think throughout the roll and see it like, all right, maybe all I know is a knee cut. That's all I know.
Right.
And I'm in that open guard position. All I know is a knee cut. It's like, just problem solve. Like, why can't I knee cut right now?
Right.
Like, think about it like that. I wish I thought about it like that before. Like,
is that how you think about it now?
That's how I think about it now. Yeah. Like, if I'm working towards certain things, or maybe like if we're rolling right and I'm like getting smashed on bottom, I have like no frames, nothing. I'm just thinking, okay, why can't I frame against? Like, why can't I push him off?
Right.
Right. And then whatever solution I come up with, I start working from there.
Right.
Like, I wish I thought about it like that sooner, because it opens up your jiu-jitsu so much, instead of being like, okay, I'm in this position. I know that I learned I'm supposed to shrimp this way and then do this and then I have to do this, and like in that, it's so hard to think about that specific order of all those details. Like,
right.
Just slow down and be like, all right, this isn't working. Why? Like, what's stopping me from doing whatever I want to do?
That's good advice, man. Well, thank you for being on, man. I appreciate it.
Bro.
First episode.
First episode?
First episode.
Oh, damn it. That was gonna be the second.
No, that's...
I got bumped up.
You got bumped up. You're important.
I got bumped up. Whoa.
Is there anything you want to say or anything you want to promote or anything to anybody that's listening?
If you train in Miami, come by to Jiu-Jitsu. Ground
Okay,
Game
man.
Theory. Awesome,
All right,
awesome training.
Yeah, it's a good school.
Anyone can stop by.
All right, man. That was good, dude.